name's Ravi Sharma and I am the founder and buyer's agent here at Search Property. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode of Search Property TV. We do have a bit of a different scenario sitting here, but I wanted to talk to you about how to make money during a recession and why it's so important to get your mindset right in the beginning. Now, a lot of people find that during a recession, everyone's going to lose a lot of money and everyone's going to lose out until the economy recovers. The truth is, every crisis has an opportunity, and where one person is becoming poorer, there's someone else that's becoming richer. And that's always been the case through the history of time. You can look at any recession ever, and you'll find somewhere along the lines that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This divide of separation in terms of equality and inequality is becoming even wider nowadays. So it's going to continue happening this way for however long. But the truth is that it's about understanding what's happening right now. And it's not so much about where you're investing your money, it's about understanding that your mindset needs to get shifted, especially during a time like this, where the 99% of people will do nothing. And the 1% that actually are proactive rather than reactive are actually going to make huge gains over the next few years. Now, if you were to look back at statistics, and I know some people that are viewing this may not like that stuff, so I've tried to keep it out of this video and very high level. If you are interested in this sort of content, then do comment down below. Otherwise, do subscribe to the channel. But when you look back at every sort of recession, every downturn that was ever, present in the economy, whether that's the world economy or Australia specifically, you're going to find that there were periods of stabilization or there was declines, very, very small declines. And the harsher the decline, the bigger the bounce back was. So although we're seeing a sort of a stabilization of the market where prices become stable, the whole thought of 30% coming down in property and a crash across the asset class, just didn't really make sense to me. And now we're halfway there. Everyone's talking about a September cliff, a March cliff, and I've talked about this in previous videos as well. It's really important to understand who you're listening to at a time like this and reflect back on what's stopping you from actually moving forward. This is as much about mindset as it is how much money is in your bank account. If you can start now but have the wrong mindset, you're still going to be 6 to 12 months away from actually doing anything. I would much rather be in chats with someone who has the right mindset and is wanting to do something, but doesn't have enough cash at the moment. Something that has been popping up quite a bit is how much do I need to start? Because this all makes sense. I want to get in. As a number to keep in mind, it's about $40,000. So if you're close to that number or you're going to hit it in the next 2 to 3 months, now is the time to get educated, get into watching these videos, and also book in a strategy session so we can actually start getting that strategy and plan together before you actually go into the world of actually investing. So when we're looking at making money during a recession, you don't actually need huge amounts of money to actually do so. I think the first place you want to be investing is in your mindset, investing in your thought process and eliminating negativity. There's enough there on Channel 9 News and mainstream media with the virus and whatnot. You need to now start clearing that out of your mind and start figuring out who you're listening to and why am I listening to these people. For instance, I love the fact that when someone says to me, well, I want to invest in this particular area because my uncle told me to, or my friends did really well 2 years ago, I want to invest there, I've heard it's good. That's not good enough. We're living in an age where research and all the videos, all the educational part that, previously the stuff I'm talking to you about was paid for. Now it's free. And so you need to be taking advantage of this to try and get your mindset clicked into gear, because before you know it, we're going to be out of this recession, we're going to be out of this COVID and virus environment, and we're going to be in a booming economy, and that's going to be around the corner. Now, when I say around the corner, is it going to be 12 months? I don't know. One thing I definitely know is that there will be a pushback. There's going to be a bounce and there's going to be a recovery. We've seen it every single time in history. We, on average, about 7 to 11 years of economic prosperity, and we're going to start a new cycle. After this recession, we will start a new cycle, which means that if you can start building those connections, those relationships, get educated, and start shifting that mindset during a time where everyone else is watching mainstream media for hours on end and thinking the world's come to an end, I can't do anything about it. They are actually going to be left behind while you can take advantage and spend the hour or 2 hours getting your mindset right. Now, obviously this is a channel about real estate, so it wouldn't be fair to bring out a video and not talk about it. But I do want to make very big importance on the fact that mindset is important here. You need to be proactive, because if you're in a negative frame of mind, you will never do anything. When it comes to starting up a side hustle or starting up a business, first thing people go is, oh, what if it fails? That's a negative mindset. Now the same thing is, oh, well, I can't invest because I might lose my job. Well, you may not lose your job, and then what happens? The market will fall by 30%. Well, what if it doesn't fall by 30%? And this is where people aren't looking at the flip side. I don't blame you, because that's how we've been institutionalized. That's how we've been taught at school. Don't make mistakes. I'd rather make 5 mistakes, but end up being 6 times right, which means I'm still 1 ahead of anyone that tried. We've been taught at school where if you make a mistake, it's wrong. How are you going to learn? And so I've made plenty of mistakes over the last 6 years of investing and starting new businesses. So I know that it's a trial and error. And when you've got attached to mentors and the right educational people, that's when you're going to be able to learn from their mistakes and then leapfrog and not have to make them yourself. There's a lot of things that I teach my clients and talk to them about the processes and how to effectively grow a portfolio or purchase a property, and this is the way you should manage a tenant, that I had to learn over the last 6 years. I've made mistakes, and that's why I'm able to be in a position like this where I can help. So generally what happens during a recession, for anyone that's not an economic buff or what is interested in this sort of thing, is a very simplified version, okay? The economy is not performing as well, so the government will start handing out some money and using that money to hopefully have people spend it. If they spend more money and purchase more, products and services, then businesses start operating well. That means they can offer jobs, and then the cycle continues. And that's how we get ourselves out. But the economy needs to interject and put some stuff into the system. So in this case, obviously we've got JobKeeper, JobSeeker, all of the other fiscal stimulus that they've got running around in the economy. What that will do is that is one part of it. On the other side, you've got the monetary policy, the RBA. The Reserve Bank of Australia will then lower interest rates and allow for people that have mortgages, now they have a little bit more spending money. Now they've got discretionary money that they didn't have with high interest rates. They're going to use that money to then buy products, buy services, and then that system continues again. So at the moment, what we're seeing both happen at the same time and at huge unprecedented levels. We've got the lowest interest rates ever, and we're spending the most we've ever spent as an economy. Now, what happens if you look back in time at every recession, every time we had the government step in or interest rates had gone down, we see a period there where things need to stabilize. People are losing their minds because they're like, hey, we've just reduced the rate by 5 cuts or 100 basis points. What's happening? The government's now paying us pretty much a universal based income. What is happening, right? So people take time to adjust and they start thinking, okay, now this is the new norm, right? But before they know it, before they can adapt, you've got the early adopters, the people that are sitting there watching these videos and going, I can get ahead of this because I know what's about to come. What's coming is that all this money that's roaming around in the system that needs to start getting spent, well, what happens when the virus goes away? And there's a vaccine, and now businesses are able to open, everyone's back to normality. Now what happens? Well, all that money that's roaming around in the system means that people can demand a lot more, right? So as demand goes up, we need to increase the price, and that's how inflation will start occurring. When inflation starts occurring, that's going to seep through into asset classes like property and real estate, right? So what does that mean in a nutshell? Well, we're going to see inflation of the asset prices. So if you can get a property today for say $200,000 and your debt is say $180,000, well, you're effectively paying today's debt in tomorrow's inflated dollar. What does that mean? Well, it means that tomorrow the dollar will get inflated. Everything else will become expensive. The property you bought for $200,000 is probably worth $250,000. The debt is still the same. And your income has gone up, your rents have gone up, everything's gone up, except your debt stayed the same. So being advantageous and taking opportunities like we are presented with today is very unique. Something that, you know, our lifetimes will never see again, I don't think, because the structures are changing, the financial system's changing. And so what ability you have now to build a portfolio and be resilient in your mindset, become proactive, you can actually benefit largely because of the crisis that we're in at the moment. This is why some of the really smart people in this world are actually doing specific things. If you spend more time watching mainstream media and wasting your time about what's happening in the rest of the world, which doesn't really affect you, you could use that time to start a side hustle. A lot of people are working from home. You've got an extra 2 hours a day. Now, for everyone that's sitting there going, oh, well, you know, I use the extra time to, I don't know, watch the news. You could use that time to start setting up multiple cash flow streams. Right now, the biggest thing that I find very fascinating is, oh, well, what happens if I lose my job? If you are about to lose your job, guys, if you are listening to this, if you're about to lose your job or you have uncertainty about your job, wouldn't you want to have a cash flow property there to allow you to have some sort of cash flow and income coming through? Right now, if you're buying a positive cash flow property and tomorrow you lose your job, right? You could effectively pause your repayments if you needed to, or you could just have the interest repayments go, and every week you'd be having $200-300 a week come into your pocket, and there's still some income. That's why I think cash flow is king, not cash is king. If you were to invest $40,000 into a property, right? If you just earned just the cash flow that was coming in every year, you would be earning about 12.5% a year, just on the cash flow, right? We're not expecting any growth there. But if you put that $40,000 into an interest savings account, you would earn 1.4%, right? Now, the truth here is that it's a cash on cash return. So after 3 years, let's say for instance, you've invested into real estate and the world's gone to shit and you know, the market went down, but it went back up and you didn't, you know, no one's selling their homes. So there's been no growth, okay? If you simply bought a positive cash flow property and you did that, and there was no growth, you would have earned 36.5% cash on cash return. Now that's a goddamn good outcome when it comes to that cash that you're returning, because when you compare that to say something like keeping it in your bank account, that's going to earn you about 4%, all right? 36% versus 4%. And this is where the power of leverage and compounding comes into effect. Now I know for a fact that properties won't stabilize for, you know, the next 3 years and have no growth if you picked the right areas. Guys, this is another call out. If you need help, right? Real estate is not easy, okay? Anyone that tells you it's easy, that it's just like, you know, you can do it yourself, I don't think it is. And based on what I know now, if I knew this when I had started, I would have made some very different decisions. And I think a lot of people that have come to me and have already purchased one property because they wanted to take advantage of some stupid grant, they're now finding themselves in a very big strife where they're negatively cash flowed. And now if they lose their job, well, you're screwed. And that's where advocating the right assets at the right time of your strategy is important. And also knowing what markets to enter and what markets not to enter. Right now, people are getting fixated going, well, I want to enter a market that's been growing for the last 5 years. And in the last year, it's grown by 20%. Why would you want to do that? That's where you're at the tip of the market. So it's a property cycle. Everything goes up and it goes down, it comes back around. I would rather invest in rising markets and then ride out the next 3 to 5 years and see that growth, you know, materialize, rather than going, oh, I'm going to compete with like 40 other people and try and buy this one property because I like it. Right now, there's opportunities in both markets, the competitive ones and non-competitive ones. So it's just a matter of how do you take advantage of the time that we have right now. And there's one simple thing you need to do is have a proactive mind versus a reactive mind. You need to be the 1% because the 1% get the results. The 99% get left behind. And this is why we see that divide between the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on another video. If you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe to the channel. And as always, down below, you'll see a link to my website where you can book in a strategy session completely free. I'll catch you guys in the next video.